Hello everyone, my name is Anshuman Pandey and I'm a solutions architect at Augment. Cloud migrations are a complex endeavor, and the difficulties compound exponentially depending on the size and intricacies of the deployment. One of the hardest phases of the migration is getting the team up to speed on the new environment's terminology and functionality. Then comes the planning stage, which may take weeks to months to complete all the mappings, infrastructure planning, and environmental setup. Today, I want to show how Augment can expedite all the difficulties of planning a cloud migration and reduce the time spent from weeks to just hours or even minutes. For the example in this demo, I'm going to be converting a complex AWS deployment using CloudFormation templates of two Palo Alto Networks VM firewalls that are deployed in a high availability pair. And I'm going to be converting these to be deployed in GCP using Terraform. I can begin by opening my workspace that contains a Terraform module for GCP best practices. I can ask Augment to simply explain this codebase to me to get an understanding of how this is set up. I can then add my AWS CloudFormation template folder into Augment's additional context. Augment's going to be able to index and understand the entire codebase without me having to open any files or even add it to my workspace. Let's tell Augment to explain what AWS HA-CFT does. Augment's then able to tell me how exactly the CFT deployment is structured. Now I can ask, how can I convert the CFTs to Terraform to deploy the project in GCP? Augment's then going to give me an overview on how the conversion will happen with a few example code snippets as well. It's going to walk me through step by step on how the conversion needs to take place, and this will serve as kind of a guideline for the migration. Now, of course, I want the exact changes that are necessary. So finally, I ask Augment to walk me through step by step on all code changes needed to implement this project in GCP with exact feature parity to the AWS deployment. With my final prompt, Augment's then going to output all the steps needed for me to set up a like-for-like Terraform deployment in GCP to the AWS deployment I currently have. This is going to include things like setting up the main and variable Terraform files, setting up the network files to define the VPC and subnets, and even things like firewall rules or bootstrapping the Google Cloud storage buckets. As you can see, Augment is walking through all of the intricacies needed and giving me the exact code changes and updates and new file structures to make a like-for-like deployment in GCP. This will save me weeks of planning and mapping based on terminology, syntax, and structure, and the differences between AWS and GCP, for example, Lambda functions or how routing is set up. The last stage of planning the migration is documentation. Now, with the shareable link option in Augment Chat, I can create a web instance of my chat history to be shared with and only accessible by my team. This is going to persist as living documentation, and the relevant code can be copied over wherever needed and reused time and time again. I hope this quick demo shows you how powerful Augment can be in reducing times for understanding